Tatiana's mom in return is like, you ain't gonna tell me how I talk to you. I'll talk to you any way I want. At that point, Yannick handled it way better than me because I would have gotten up and walked out. I would have been done with that immediately after that point. Immediately.
What did you do to your hair? I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Hola, hola, hola. It is Charlie T back again with another video. If you're new to my channel, please make sure you subscribe, hit that like button if you like my video, and press that notification bell so you are the first one notified for when I upload my next video. Baby, when I tell you episode 7 and 8 of Love is Blind France. So 7 starts off with the remaining couples going to meet up with everyone at the pods that were in the pods, along with some of the people that were initially together, i.e. Cynthia and Jonathan, were no longer together. They also come to the function as well. Jonathan is there catching up with all the guys and saying hi to everybody. He's expressing how he felt like he made the right decision, where he's at, but he's a lot better now. Cynthia is coming in looking gorgeous as ever. I mean, the girl is always going to eat down and just beautiful. However, it was pretty obvious to me that when she came in, she was trying to make a statement. Like, I want my man back. It was immediately giving, like, I have some regrets and I want to see if we're able to reconcile. So she goes over to Julie and she's telling Julie, like, you know, I really want to see him. I kind of been missing him. I want to talk to him. And Julie's like, well, all right, girl, like, because you do look good. So I hope everything works out in your favor. You know, just be gentle on the man because you are very much so hardcore, girl. You can be a little rough. Thea and Jonathan have a conversation and Cynthia apologizes to him and she states that she does miss him and she even puts the engagement ring on from time to time, just thinking about him. And Jonathan is just like, okay, well, I really see right now you being the person that I initially met back in the pods, but you weren't giving that back in the honeymoon. And Cynthia's response was, okay, but you didn't give me a chance. We didn't have enough time. We only have a few days. That wasn't enough time. And it's like, well, girl, you're on the wrong show then if you didn't already know what time frame we were already on. So you saying he didn't give y'all enough time and everything during the few days you guys were on the honeymoon is insane to me, because of those days that you're on the honeymoon, every single day, according to Jonathan, you guys had an argument. Like, girl, you consistently had an attitude in which clearly right now you're admitting to in some kind of way, shape, or form that he didn't give you a chance, but you're clearly also admitting to you not giving him a chance and you just jumping straight at his throat. Nonetheless, what I really think it is, honest and truly, is that I don't want to say she didn't genuinely care for the man or didn't have some type of romance with Jonathan. However, I think that she wasn't expecting him to leave when he did. I think that maybe perhaps she was anticipating for him to still stick around and see things through there after the honeymoon. Because when you go back, if you go back to episode 6, when they were arguing at the hotel room before he left, well, after he left, she was saying that she was in shock from everything. And I think that is due to her, like, just thinking like she can talk to him however, whenever, she wants. And he was done with that. He was fed up and he was like, no, deuces. And so now we're kind of like seeing them in limbo because she was very touchy feely with Jonathan while talking to him, and he was willing to like hold her hand as well. But I don't know, even if they do continue to try to see where things go, I don't think it's gonna go far at all. It's probably gonna be an overnight thing or maybe a few weeks, but if that, to be honest, I don't foresee that being too much more of a thing for them, only because Jonathan is gonna have a hard time. He even said it when they were having a conversation that he's willing to forgive, but it would take a while for him to even get over how she spoke to him during the entire time of the honeymoon and how she treated him. And to be honest, I don't blame him. Moving along, we have Charles and Sarah. Sarah comes in like just, girl, she's talking about she almost didn't come. And she decided that she did because she wanted to see some of her homegirls. And she also wanted to have a conversation with Charles. So they have a conversation. Charles states that he, does find Sarah to be pretty. But at the end of the day, he had to go with how he was feeling. He was more heartfelt for Julie compared to Sarah. And another thing for him is that, in which I believe he did state in the pods before to Sarah, that there was things that Sarah did not want to converse about, and it was important to him to discuss. And Julie was that person that was at least able to have a conversation with him. And then Sarah goes and like, oh, just because you want to talk about sex and intercourse, he was like, no, it's not only just like a physical thing for me. I wanted to discuss all aspects of intimacy, and you just shut it down. And I'm not blaming you necessarily for that, but I had to be able to compare that to someone that is actually open to have that conversation. And that moved me along with other things that Julie and I had going. And so you have Sarah ended up saying that she wasn't really upset that he chose Julie. She was more so upset that he went back on his word. When she gave him the ultimatum, it was yes or no. And even after he asked for a day to think about it, he still came to her and said, I choose you. And so to go back on that and choose Julie after all of that, which to a degree I can understand, because I can see if it would be one thing he was put under pressure, in which, I mean, he was technically still put under some kind of pressure, whether he asked her to give him another day to think about it or not. There was still that added pressure of, okay, do I really want this or do I want that? And then still, choosing her to go back later on the next day or whatever day it was in the pods to say, yeah, I'm going to actually choose Julie. It's the name of the game, though, at the same time. At the end of the day, you can't really control how you feel when you're dating these multiple people in one space. You're dating each other. And it's a unique experience that I think Sarah's feelings were valid in regards to Charles going back on his word on choosing her, but at the same time, girl, you the one that decided to give him an ultimatum and make it seem like, okay, it's gotta be me. But then also, you gotta consider the fact that Sarah talked so much shit about Julie that was not right about her character and presented it to Charles as if she was somebody that she's not. So I think that also factored in why Charles did not go with Sarah. And Sarah has to take accountability on that. 100%. She can't just blame Charles and be like, well, you went back on your word. Well, you went back on your word. Well, girl, you kind of played dirty in trying to get this man. So don't have too much room to be upset with him. Then fast forward to Sarah and Julie having a conversation. Julie is letting Sarah know, like, hey, to find out that you were talking so much shit about my character makes me boil because that's not what I came here for. It's not to be catty, it's not to be malicious. What you had going on with Charles had nothing to do with me. And what I had going on with Charles should have had nothing to do with you. I did not bring you up in any kind of way, shape, or form to Charles up until it came to my attention from him that you were shit talking me. So I had to correct that. But why is it that I was such a bother to you? And then Sarah admits that, oh, it's because you just came off as like the hoe of the group. Like you just came off like a hoe. And all the girls were thinking it, all the girls were saying it. And like you're like a bimbo, like you were just the bimbo of the group. That's just how we felt, or at least that's how I personally felt. And to me, it's like, even if you feel that way, why do you think it's okay to present that to a man that you have interest in for, to have that you have interest to marry? Let him find that out on his own. You don't have to bring another girl down, or try to at least bring down someone's character to a man that you're wanting to marry or pursue just because she's competition for you. There's better ways to go about it. It's not your place. But Julie took it like a pro and was like, listen, I got my man now. That's all that matters. And that's it. At the end of the day, I'm not this kind of person that you thought I was, just because I'm more free with vocalizing about certain things and aspects of my life. That doesn't make me a hoe. But even if I were this kind of person, let it be that, and let it be Charles that sees that, not somebody trying to tell him that's what I am or not. And Sarah claimed that she was happy for Julie and that they're meant for each other. I feel like that was definitely a dig, but whatever, Sarah girl, you go ahead and be miserable by yourself. Kim is having a whole conversation over in a little bench area having cocktails with Clement. And you can just feel the sexual tension between the two. Like there were sparks. And I don't know if it was anything past that. It could have been, but I'm not sure, because Kim was just stating to Clement, like, physically, that you're my type. Like, aesthetic wise, how you're dressed, you're my type. To the T. Clement asked Kim, how are things going with her and Thomas? And then expresses to him that they are very much so different. They came up from two different worlds, but things are going okay. She's learning to adjust to a couple things. And that was that. However, while she's over here just flirting a little bit with Clement, you have Thomas getting asked from one of the other pod girls about a friend of theirs, well, a friend of a friend, really, of theirs that dated Thomas. And I say date kind of loosely because apparently they keep in touch, but they only really dated or were in a talking phase for 2 weeks, according to Thomas. So he expresses that to the girl and then reports it back to Kim. Kim is in a fissy. I don't want to be engaged to somebody if he's still keeping in touch with her. Like, why is he keeping in contact with an ex? I don't understand. I don't get it. So Kim and the girl go over to Thomas and a guy from the pods as well that were having a conversation. And Thomas already knew this was about to blow up at that point because he's like, see, this girl is being messy. I already told her and explained my side of things, but she's going over to Kim, and now this is blowing up. So it blew up. Kim is all upset. She's mad because she's like, I settled for this and I compromised for this. I even accepted this when it came to his looks, when it came to his education, when it came to his style, his tattoos, and his, like, just basically everything about the man. And now I got to deal with him still talking to an ex. I don't understand. Thomas was explaining that this is not even official ex. They literally dated, if you want to call it that. He said for 2 weeks, but they both have kids around the same age, so they keep in touch because they go on play dates. But that is it. They literally have nothing going on. And Kim is not wanting to hear it. And she's wanting to know, why was this never brought up before? And it's like, well, again, we never actually fully dated. If, like, she never been to my place, stayed the night or anything. So it was nothing serious to me. And Kim is like, well, it was serious to me. And I'm just upset because I also, we find out that Thomas apparently wasn't sleeping in the same bed as Kim for the last few days because they got an argument apparently due to a notary issue, and also because he snores, and Kim is like, I don't like that, so yeah, you gotta sleep in another room, you gotta go in another bed, I don't like it. And Thomas is just overwhelmed at that point. But my thing is, Kim is having this whole hissy fit. Meanwhile, just prior to, you was having a whole sescapade with your eyes with Clement. Like, I'm trying to figure out why, like, this is a whole double standard here. A complete double standard. She wanted to just have another excuse of why she should not be with Thomas. So Thomas and her continues going back and forth. He's trying to break it off, but she's like, no, like, basically, according to Thomas, he's been trying to break things off for a minute. He loves the girl, but he clearly continues to get a headache from her. But he says she wants to continue to stick things out because she just wants to wear a wedding dress and go down the aisle at the end of the day. I was like, no, I do care about you. I do love you, but there's just so much I'm having to work around and compromise for you. I just don't understand. Girl, just the most. VanMie and Sabrina, where VanMie introduces his family and specifically his sister and his friends to Sabrina. And it was interesting. They're at dinner. Right away, the sister, like, is asking good questions, like, okay, what are some of your flaws, if you have any? And Sabrina tells them that she can be a bit possessive. And immediately that was a red flag for VanMie's sister. So while VanMie is talking to his bros about, like, how cute she actually is, Sabrina is, and everything, Sabrina and VanMie's sister are having a side conversation apart from the table. And Sabrina is immediately asking, okay, so what was VanMie's exes like? Were any of them did any of them favor me far as personality wise? And VanMie's sister was like, no, not at all. To be quite frank, they were very quiet. They were very high vibrations, is what Van Mee's sister was trying to say. Like, they were very just chill, relaxed, discreet. And Sabrina was like, oh. She was like, yeah, I can tell, like, you have a big personality. And Van Mee's sister was saying in the confessional, like, I don't know how Van Mee and her are gonna work because, to be honest, I feel like she is going to overwhelm Van Mee based on her personality. Van Mee is very lax and chill, and I feel like her saying like she's a bit possessive gives psychotic vibes, and so I don't know how I feel about that. Like, yeah, girl, you hit the nail on the head. It's very psycho tendencies. I won't say Sabrina is a psycho, but it's just oof. You have Alexandre and Chloe, where Alexandre was deciding to move out of him and Chloe's shared apartment for a bit back to his own to decompress and really think things through because he was starting to feel overwhelmed. So his brother comes over to his apartment and they have a conversation. Essentially, Alexandre is concerned about moving forward with things because he feels like they're skipping steps, a lot of steps. And I'm like, again, do you not know what show you're on? Are you not aware of the show that you signed up for and what it takes to go through this and how short of a time span it is to go through all of this before you go down the aisle? Like, I'm just he's expressing his concerns, not only with the steps that they've been having to skip through this process, but more so also how he genuinely does not want to sacrifice again like he did before with his previous partner on his dreams. He wants to live in the mountains. He is a mountain climber. And so he does want to pursue living that dream. He isn't sure how Chloe would even feel about that. But my thing is, why is he jumping to such thoughts if that conversation was never had to begin with Chloe? If that was such a huge thing for you, why was this never a conversation to begin with? I was so confused. It ended up being a conversation later on, which we'll get into, but I'm like, why don't you give the girl a chance? You don't know until you guys actually have that conversation. Then after that conversation is had, I can understand where your head could be a bit like confused and then you're overwhelmed. Like, I don't know if this is it then or not for me. So his brother was just saying like how he feels as though Chloe is truly the right person for him. They're really good for each other. But at the end of the day, it's going to be up to Alexandre to choose whether he wants to continue pursuing her and see how things go with that, and if she is going to be willing to go with Alexandre for what he wants to do for his life or not. But, you know, he already knew Alexandre is a frequent flyer. Like, he is on the go. And fast forward to Chloe and Alexandre having a conversation once Alexandre does come back to their apartment. And Chloe is just saying that I am able to move around like for my work. I'm not stationed here. So if where you want to go is to the mountains, back to, you know, where he's originally from, I think close to the area where his family is, or at least his grandmother, then we can do that. And she also stated that I can't say no until I at least try. And I think that is very important because, again, while I say Alexandre was having these overwhelming feelings and feeling type of way and uncertainty about Chloe when it came to if he's going to be able to pursue his lifelong dream because he couldn't before, this is where I'm like, why didn't you have a conversation with Chloe to begin with before you just decided to be like, I gotta go. I gotta think about this on my own. Because it's like, not to say you can't be apart and think things through, but it's like, you couldn't have that conversation to begin with. Allow Chloe to tell you that she is open-minded about it. I mean, the girl has been open-minded about this man the entire process thus far. I don't know how much more open mind you can get with this at this point. For her, she was like, listen, I'm all in. I'm all for trying and doing this. But at the same time, while saying that, I feel as though Chloe has done a lot of sacrificing, or not really sacrificing, more so compromising, where I don't see it as much from Alexandre, apart from when Chloe expressed to him about him being affectionate. And in that sense, I hope that has changed for the better. Fast forward to where they are mountain climbing. They're doing like this indoor mountain climbing date. And he was very much so excited and happy that she actually did give it a go and was open to it. So that's where they leave off with things. Tatiana and Yannick, they start off with a perfume date that is supposed to happen. Apparently, Yannick had originally set up, and Tatiana had met him there. He had set it up because, Tatiana loves these type of things. And Yannick ended up being late. I don't know now how late, but it was to the point where he was already supposed to be there. And he was out with the boys playing football. And yeah, he was just like, yeah, I'm not going to be there. We're actually going to need to reschedule. And Tatiana was upset because everything has been laid out. Of course, she set her time aside to be there. Honestly, I understood her on that end, because it's like, you're the one that set this day up for me. You got me putting time aside for you to come here, going out of my way, and then you don't even show up. I have to blow you up for you to even end up telling me that you're not going to come and we're going to have to reschedule. For me personally, all it takes is a quick phone call or a quick text like, hey, before the planned time even starts, I need to be informed, hey, I think we're going to need to reschedule. I know you may be upset or in feelings, but let's do another time. Let's do another day. That way, I'm not already en route or already there at the function of where we're supposed to meet up. I get the fact that Yannick was like, listen, we shouldn't be in a rush to do this and that and the third. Like, we have plenty of time to enjoy one another's company and do these things. I get that. I definitely agree with him for that. However, I just feel as though he should have took accountability at that point. Like, I messed up. And you fast forward into when Yannick and Tatiana are meeting up with Tatiana's mom. And I'm not sure who the other person was there. She didn't say that was her sister. So I'm assuming it was a sister of Yannick or someone related to. I was so confused by that, honestly. But unless I just missed something. But they met up. Yannick was given a lot of hell from Tatiana's mother because Tatiana decided to start the conversation off by telling her mom that Yannick did not sign the notary yet. So immediately, Tatiana's mother was like, why not? Why are we even here then if you didn't sign it? What's going on? And Yannick was just explaining to her that he wanted to read it over. And she was like, what is there to read over? Much like how Tatiana gave Yannick an issue with not signing immediately? He's like, because it's not that I don't want to sign it, it's the mere fact that there's things to go over. I like to read what we're signing and everything, and I feel like I need to have time for that. He wants to go over it with his brothers, which is very much so understandable. Like, I don't get why an immediate rush. So then you have Tatiana's mother just going in about, well, I don't understand. You also need to explain to me why you are deserving of my daughter. Because then Tatiana brings up, like, in front of her mother, this was the wrong time to even have this conversation at this point. It's like Tatiana snitching to her mom about Yannick and just wanting her mom to go in on him and be like, yeah, get him, mama, get him. And that's so childish and petty to me. I think that was so immature. And she's bringing up to him, oh, you still never apologized to me about missing our date, not showing up for the date you set up. That conversation could have been had another time, let alone could have either happened before he met up with your mom or after. But that conversation should not have even been brought up at all in front of your mom, point blank, period. So the mom is going in even more on Yannick, like, I don't see how you think you're deserving of my daughter. She's above you. You're nothing to her caliber. She's settling at this point, even if she does want to be with you after this. I don't. So what I say goes. If I don't want it, she's not going to do it. And she is continuing to just belittle this man to the point where he is trying to talk. She keeps cutting him off. She's asking him to explain himself. Again, he's trying to talk and she's cutting him off. And even his phone is vibrating. His phone's ringing. And she's like, put it on silent. And he's like, okay. And Yannick is like, listen, one thing's for certain and two things is for sure. I don't even sit this still and this quiet when my mother is talking to me in this kind of way. So all I ask is for respect. You can't talk to me like this. And Tatiana's mom in return is like, you ain't gonna tell me how I talk to you. I'll talk to you any way I want. At that point, Yannick handled it way better than me because I would have gotten up and walked out. I would have been done with that immediately after that point. Immediately. For you to sit here and be okay still, even with your mom talking to me like this, it started off being a problem because of you. But you continually to condone it by keeping silent and not checking your own mom. And I'm trying to speak up for myself and you're letting her degrade me like this. Oh no, I would have been walked out. We're not getting married. Point blank, period. It was a mess. It was an absolute mess. Episode 8, you have all the women but Tatiana trying on their wedding dresses. She says, you know, it's not it for me. I think that we're done. He's not the one. In my heart of hearts, I just know he's not it. And so you go to where Yannick and Tatiana are having conversation in their joint apartment because she was away for a while, for a few days, to visit her son. Apparently, Yannick and Tatiana had a conversation over the phone where Yannick was ready to sign the notary. Tatiana was 2 hours late already and still claiming to be on her way. And Yannick was upset and disappointed, and apparently he was disrespecting her, so she hung up. And so he said himself he was done at that point once she hung up, because it's crazy how you gonna hang up on me and I'm telling you late and I'm upset, like, why aren't you here? And so when they finally are having a conversation about this, Tatiana's like, well, you already knew it was going to take me an hour to get over to this notary. So excuse me if I was 2 hours late. You should have given me some more grace. And to me, I'm thinking to myself already, as petty as this girl has been and immature, Auntie, I think she was trying to get her lick back at the same time for Yannick not showing up to their date that he set up for her. because she was so embarrassed. And so she decided to pull that on him. And the moment he expressed to her how he doesn't like that and whatever he said to her, she hung up because she claimed he was being disrespectful to her. She was like, once you disrespect me, I hang up. I don't deal with that, period. But I'm glad he checked Tatiana on that because he knew there was a double standard. It's okay for you to be disrespectful to me in all these last several weeks that you have been in different situations, but I can't be quote unquote disrespectful to you, even though I didn't even see it as such, but I can't be disrespectful to you. The moment you get disrespected, it's a wrap. It's either your way or the highway. And so then you get into where Tatiana was just spitting in this man's face, calling him a little 35-year-old boy, and that she is better than him, and that she knew all along like he was going to be the one. She's not wasting her time. She needs somebody that is going to supply for them. And she's like, because I'm not paying for anything. Like, basically, she wasn't trying to pay for much, which everyone's relationship is different with that. But she, all in all, just wanted a yes man. At the end of the day, she knew Yannick was not that yes man because, again, the moment he started biting back, she got upset and her feelings, and she was ready to bounce. And it's like, girl, that is not the way to go about a situation for somebody that you are getting to try to marry. But hey, go on. Go off, sis. She ends up leaving the apartment, walking out while Yannick is still trying to talk to her. She's not wanting to hear it. And that was a wrap. They don't even finish the process. So now you just have, at this point, 4 remaining couples ready to go down the aisle. To VanMee and Sabrina, where he met Sabrina's parents. And I honestly forgot that Sabrina had mentioned that her mother has Alzheimer's. So you see where she's very caring for her mother. She helps her father a lot with that. And VanMee was stating like he was loving to see more of this side of Sabrina because, so Lord knows, we only get the side that wants to freak out on him all the time and jealous and be possessive. So it was nice to see that, but you also see where she was, still wanting that reassurance from VanMee at the same time to say like he's 100% all in, but he wasn't necessarily giving that, so she was nervous. You have Kim and Thomas. There really isn't too much to get into about them at this point. When it came to the wedding dresses, like Kim was very much so excited to try it on, and she was excited but nervous at the same time on what she's going to do with Thomas because they've had a lot of ups and downs. And for Thomas, he was more so trying to get Kim to understand where he was at. So dealing with Thomas, he did have Kim meet with someone that's like a father figure to him, and Kim was able to see after their meeting a lot of why Thomas gets so intense at times when it comes to their different disagreements, and what may be serious to him isn't serious for her and vice versa. Mainly whatever is serious to her is really irrelevant to be serious about for him and a lot of other people. But she was able to get a lot more insight, and she was glad to meet this person that is so close to Thomas. You have Julie and Charles, where they actually had a disagreement where Charles and Julie are having dinner, and he's essentially calling a girl messy. Now, it could be to where maybe Charles is OCD and wants things and likes things a certain kind of way. And to anybody that is like that, and it's not if something isn't a certain kind of way, then it could be messy, right? But another way could be where Julie is actually like, doesn't clean up after herself or anything. But it's not like, it doesn't seem like that's the case, because Julie was like, I clean the dishes, I clean up in the house, I do the bathroom, da 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 da. And Charles was just continuing to state what he did the day prior, and Julie was not happy with that. She was like, okay, again, you're like yesterday, one day in which you are having to do this and that and the third, but all the other times I do it. And Charles is saying like he feels like he is doing more, but that's something to discuss more. Julie, all in all, didn't like the fact that they were having that conversation, because it was important to him about seeing what shared chores they have in the house and everything else living together, how that will be. It was very important for him, but it wasn't as important for Julie, because she's like, I feel like we're good. We can just learn through the process of after we get married. Like, everything is not going to show face immediately. So they had a debate about it, but all in all, Charles apologized about his approach and shared to her that he does still love her and he doesn't see her any different. And I think the thing for Julie is she does much similar to Sabrina. She needs that reassurance because she doesn't want to feel like he's ready to leave her. She has that feeling a lot of abandonment. The difference between her and Sabrina is she doesn't constantly want to be reassured and called beautiful and all of that. She just needs to be reassured that you're not gonna leave, and that's it. So, and Charles gives that to Julie. So she was more than happy to go ahead and try on that dress. Lastly, you have Alexandre and Chloe, and Chloe is still through the moon about getting married to Alexandre. However, she is very much so nervous about Alexandre's plan, because she's like, listen, I know this man still is kind of like up and down with everything. He still has yet to tell me he loves me, and that's a lot to process. But I also told this man not to embarrass me in front of all of these people. I told him, if he is going to say no, do that before we even go down the altar. Don't embarrass me in front of all these people, because I will have an issue. There will be a problem. And for Alexandre, he was then talking to his mom and his grandmother and his brother, expressing how he thinks he knows where his head is at now. Then this leads to episode 9, which we will review next time. I know that was a lot that we covered, but just you wait. I'm ready to dive right into 9. But until next time.
Where'd you go?